Good afternoon and welcome to today's press conference with Swedish Minister for Foreign Affairs Tobias Billstrom and Spanish Minister for Foreign Affairs, European Union and Cooperation, Manuel Albares Bueno. The press conference will be available on the Swedish government's website, government.se.
So, ladies and gentlemen, very welcome. It gives me great pleasure to welcome my Spanish colleague, Manuel Albares, to Stockholm. Spain is an important partner for Sweden, and we value greatly our bilateral relation. As we are approaching the end of the Swedish presidency of the EU, Minister Albares' visit is an excellent opportunity for us to prepare to hand over to the Spanish presidency beginning of the 1st of July. And today we have discussed important topics high on the EU's agenda, together with Minister for EU Affairs, Jessica Roosevelt. During our meeting today, we also had the opportunity to discuss Sweden's accession to NATO, and we look forward to working together with Spain also as NATO allies. We're very grateful for Spain's support for our accession. Spain played an important role during the NATO summit in Madrid last year when Sweden gained invitee status. And Spain has also been a partner to Sweden throughout the ratification process. And I have conveyed my gratitude to Minister Albares for Spain's swift ratification and clear stance on the fact that Sweden should become a member before the Vilnius summit. We also discussed our continued support to Ukraine, and for the Swedish presidency, strong and long-term support to Ukraine and continued pressure on Russia are our main foreign policy priorities. We are pleased to have delivered several concrete results during our Council presidency this spring, including sanctions package, backing the establishment of an international tribunal to investigate and prosecute Russia's crime of aggression, and the ad hoc working party to explore the use of frozen Russian assets to support Ukraine's reconstruction. And I know that our Spanish friends will continue this important task during their presidency. Sweden and Spain also agreed on the importance of the transatlantic relationship, and Minister Albares recently visited Washington and had an opportunity to talk about this. We of course welcome the Trade and Technology Council, which is going to happen between the US and the EU in Luleå next week. And I look forward to continuing our conversation through the remaining part of our presidency, and I stand ready to do everything I can to support a smooth transition to the Spanish EU presidency. And I now give the floor to my colleague, Manuel, and then afterwards, when the minister have left, I will return for some questions. Please, Minister, the floor is yours.
It is a pleasure to be here today in Stockholm with my colleague Tobias Billstrom, and I really want to thank my good friend Tobias for his hospitality and his warmth. Spain and Sweden are close EU partners and NATO allies, I'm sure, very soon, and that's what we hope. Our bilateral relations have also been growing over the last decade. We have political, trade, and investment ties, but also we have very deep and consolidated people-to-people contacts. More than 10,000 Spaniards live here in Sweden, while more than 90,000 Swedes live in Spain, and more than 2 million Swedish tourists visit our country each year. Spain will be taking over the presidency of the EU Council after a very successful Swedish presidency. The motive of my visit today has been to strengthen our coordination of the important task in these difficult times for Europe of taking over the presidency. I commend the Swedish presidency for all the good work and leadership during this semester. Spain will continue the work that you have done so well so far. We have been exchanging over different topics: enlargement, green transition, migration, and Schengen, among others. Both the Swedish and the Spanish presidency will be marked by Putin's aggression against Ukraine. And on that light, I had also a fruitful meeting with the Vice Prime Minister of Ukraine on the ways we can continue showing our full support to Ukraine so they can defend its territorial integrity and sovereignty. I have explained also some of the points on which our presidency will be based. As you know, one of the highlights of our presidency will be the EU Select Summit in July, where we hope to achieve a new strategic relationship with a region that is key to upholding a rule-based order in the world. We are also, Spain and Sweden, united by NATO bonds. We hope that very soon we will all belong to the same family, and therefore we have discussed NATO issues also in the light of the upcoming Vilnius summit. Spain openly and fully supports Sweden joining NATO since the country knows its intention to join the organization. We will keep working at every level and in a constructive way to ask the last two remaining allies to finish their ratification process as soon as possible, so everything is done before the very important summit in Vilnius. Tobias, thank you very much for your hospitality, and I hope to see you very soon in Spain and continue working and engaging together.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming, everyone. We're in a bit of a rush, but we have time for two questions for the Spanish Foreign Minister. Susanne Palme, Ekot.
Susanne Palme, Swedish Radio. How do you see the chances after the Turkish election of getting a yes from Turkey for Swedish accession to NATO?
I cannot talk on behalf of the Turkish government, only on behalf of the Spanish government, but what Spain hopes is that this ratification will be done as soon as possible and that Sweden will become a member of NATO very soon, and hopefully everything will be done before the Vilnius summit. Sweden is a close partner already of NATO. We have been working together for many, many years. It's a full democracy, and at the end, NATO is about democracy. It's a family of democracy. So Sweden has its place completely within NATO. Spain has already done all the ratification, and we will do our best so everything is done before the summit of Vilnius.
TT.
TT News Agency. Is there anything Spain can do to speed up the Swedish accession process to NATO?
Not as one single country. We have already ratified many months ago the accession of Sweden to NATO, but of course we jointly with all the other member NATO countries, I think we can explain thoroughly the importance that Sweden join us, that Sweden becomes fully a part of us, because that will increase the common Euro-Atlantic security, and that will give also a sense of unity and will enlarge the family of democracies that we are. So definitely we will work on that sense. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. In a few minutes, there will be time for interviews with Tobias Billstrom.